Good morning. This is meteorologist DT with a video podcast for Saturday, December 23 here at 4 a.m. And you're probably wondering why the hell I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Well, lots to talk about, so let's get right to it. We'll start out here by taking a look at the ice storm threat here today for New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine. And then we'll talk about December 28th and the 30th. Possibly two events or one long one. Not certain about that yet. Also, I want to remind folks here again that it is not a week away. I mean, I see this place, people talk about this on my Facebook page, on the Twitter feed. People just have to learn how to count. I mean, this is not brain surgery, folks. Today's the 23rd. The event begins in central and southern Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee on December 28th. That's 5 days, okay? Let's learn to count. And you also have to get the forecast out to people so they can use it. If you issue the forecast on December 28th when the snow's falling, all you do is look like an idiot because you're not really helping people. So let's remember that as well. Even though the event is 5 days away, the forecast is only 3.5 days away because you got to give people like 36-hour lead time at least, maybe even more. So there's that. And the very high snow ratio. That's also going to be an issue. The precipitation liquid could equal a lot of liquid coming up on some of the models here, a pretty major snowstorm for a lot of people. And of course, the issue doesn't stay south. So let's get right to it. This here is the snow matrix table. And 1 to 3 days, as you can see, we'll start out right in here. Let's see here. You can see right in this whole area here, this one here, okay. So that's December 23rd. And, we have, the blue condition blue, which is moderate snowfall here for the Midwest over the next few days. Ohio Valley sees minor snowfall with the clipper lows. Interior Northeast, obviously the current event right now, you can see this right here. Significant snowstorm for interior New England in the Northeast. And then I-95, a moderate snowstorm here from Boston, possibly down to New York, coastal Connecticut. Rain snow line's going to issue and it could change over to snow. Get some small accumulations there before it ends. Nothing happening in day 4, 5, and 6. So then look at the crap hitting the fan here. Major snowstorm, a significant snowstorm for the Ohio Valley, a moderate snowstorm for interior Northeast, and a major or historic snowstorm is possible here, day 7, 8, and 9 for I-95. So very busy time frame coming up here. All right, this is the look at the ice storm. This is the NAM. Notice 17Z, which is 1 o'clock, noon in the afternoon, 1 o'clock, something like that on Saturday. You can see that a lot of the, you can see the heavy ice. This is all heavy ice in here, freezing rain, as you can see. And a lot of it's wearing away here. It's mostly in the valleys and the mountain and valley areas where it gets trapped in here. The strong southwest winds are blasting it out. But the RGM is a little strong with the ice. You can see it's got more ice here. At the same time frame deeper into western Massachusetts, into northeastern New York State. So that'd be interesting to see. And then the low develops Christmas Day. Notice here what happens is that the low is very close to the coast, so the rain snow line is up like this over Boston. So I've got Boston in the 3-inch snow area approximately. We'll see if that holds or not. But again, European models have been showing this for a while, that the rain snow line might be further inland here. So we'll see. It looks like it will go back to snow here as it wraps around into New York City, Connecticut. So there could be some small accumulations there. Pretty big snowstorm, though, for upstate New York, Vermont, western Massachusetts, New Hampshire. Not a huge one, 4 to 8 inches of snow, something like that, maybe a few 10-inch snow amounts. All right, let's talk about December 28th and 30th. Now, this was the 0Z Friday European. The European had 2 events. Actually, let's just talk on the 29th and 30th first. So this was the one here. You can see that the low is here, and it's got nice snow here, a little weak low here. The big cold Arctic high keeping the cold air in place. You can see the wedging, the cold air damming in the lines there. And here's the low bombing out on next Friday evening. Okay, one big snowstorm. And of course, if you look at the snow amounts were pretty significant. Much of Virginia into Maryland, New Jersey, Philly, New York. Anywhere from 6 to 12 inches, a lot of these areas. Okay, good sized snowstorm. Now this is the 12Z Friday. So let's get my marker out here. Remind you, this is 12Z Friday. This is, okay, and you can see, notice 40 inches of snow in New Jersey, New York City. 28 here, 35 here. This is ridiculous. This is overdone. But I mean, I can't rule it out completely, but I think this is overdone. You get 40 inches of snow in the mountains, sure. Very possible, but in New York, around New York City, I'm skeptical. It's got a good snowstorm in much of central Virginia up towards D.C., anywhere from 6 to 12 inches, but huge amounts in eastern Pennsylvania, the Poconos, New Jersey, the Catskills, and even into New York City. That's the important thing. So I just think that that's too much, too close to the cities. And that's also a huge change from what the data was showing earlier. Because remember, the data earlier had the slow moving off the coast, and you can see what the model is doing. Here's the low from Friday afternoon's European. It was right here, as you can see. And this here is the approximate value of the rain snow line right in here. Right over Richmond, all this is heavy snow, and you can see huge amounts. And then 12 hours later, you can see the big low off Long Island coast. Very powerful, very deep, which again, I do not think this is going to happen. This looks like a very deep low. You can see lots of lines around it, but I'm skeptical of that. I don't think this is going to be a big low. I don't think this is going to be a 992 low or 988 millibar low. And of course, because it's bombing out here, you can see this huge amount of precipitation. But again, I think this is wrong. I do not think we're going to see a big low like this. I just think that scenario is wrong. I might be wrong. We'll see. All right, and if you look at the European ensemble, you can see that it has a low much further off the coast, not nearly as strong here. This is from Friday afternoon, valid for Friday night, the 29th into the 30th. And then on Saturday, December 30th, it's got a nice low well off the coast, southeast of Cape Cod, off the Virginia coast, Capes here. So again, not a big low, not bombing out, not next to Long Island or New York City, not showing that at all. Now this is the overall pattern. This is why the snowstorm stays south, at least with the model data showing right now. This here is your big polar vortex low. Here's another upper low right here. So you've got these two big lows. So the jet stream has to do this. So if you have a low pressure here, it cannot do this. Okay? Let me do that again so you understand what I'm talking about here. If you have low pressure forming here because of this feature and this upper low, the low has to do this direction. It cannot go up towards Maine or New York State or the Great Lakes. The flow is doing this. The flow is doing this. So it drives the low essentially in a west to east direction. Look at the cold air here. This is next Friday. You can see this impressive cold, and that's one of the reasons why the snow ratios are going to be so high with the system. A lot of cold air here, as you can see next Thursday, Friday. All next week's going to be cold. Now this was the GFS model here from Friday afternoon. So let's put this up so you can see this. This is 12Z on Friday. All right. Here's the Arctic High 1, Arctic High 2, keeping the cold air in place. We have low pressure developing here, low pressure developing here. Again, notice these are waves of low pressure, not a big storm. And here you can see the rain snow line right down in here. A lot of snow in Virginia, Kentucky already breaking out here on the morning of the 29th. This is on the evening of the 29th into the 30th. 1,000 millibar low. That's a decent low, but it's not a super bomb. All right, and you can see the significant snow shield. I mean, it might even be snowing in Williamsburg at this point. It's probably rain in Norfolk, but they start off with snow, and you got snow into New York City, Boston, Philly, New York, Delaware, Richmond, Charlottesville, Roanoke, Beckley, all the way into eastern Tennessee. Nice, impressive snowstorm looking here, no doubt about that. And in terms of the snow mounts, the GFS had some moderate snow. You can see a few inches in Virginia. And then this is even earlier. You can see that actually the event even begins even earlier. So now this was the 18Z GFS, and you can see again it developed a very nice strong storm here. Notice that the lows here, there's one low here and another low here. Not big systems. The cold air is really wedged in here. You can see the cold air wedged in here. So this is a mostly snow event, maybe a little bit of ice for some people in North Carolina along the Virginia border. And they're bombing out again. Nice looking system. In terms of what the QPF looked like, the overall QPF here, this is a lot of precipitation. This is the new GFS here from early Saturday morning. And this is a lot of this is over an inch. This is 1 to 2 inches of liquid. So you can see from the color scale in here and in here, all this stuff in here. This is all, look at the colors coding here. This is all 1 to 2 inches of liquid. That's a lot of snow if that stays all snow in this ratio. That's not 10 to 1, it's higher than that. Now this is the new 0Z GFS. Okay, so this is the 0Z. 0Z GFS. Now this is significant, and this is on Thursday, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's already snowing in Richmond on the 28th. There's Richmond. You got ice down in here, a lot of ice. Here's our 1045 Arctic high. This is not a little baby. This is a big freaking deal. This baby means business. It's shoving the cold air way down into here. And that's what makes the snow ratio so impressive. Now this is Friday, the 29th, 24 hours later. Now it's gone over to some ice around Richmond, snow and ice mix, Lynchburg, Danville, but the snow is just to the north and west. It's raining in Hampton Roads in eastern North Carolina. And now it goes back 1 o'clock on Saturday the 30th. It's all snow in Richmond. It's all snow in Virginia. It's snowing, about to turn over in Norfolk. It's snowing in Williamsburg, Philly, Baltimore, all Charlottesville, Lynchburg, Danville, Roanoke, Winston-Salem, Raleigh has gone back over. New York City, Boston. This is a pretty big system. And again, look, it's not a huge low. This is not a super powerful low. And the reason the GFS produces total snowfall for this event, yeah, that's 20 to 24 inches in Richmond. I mean, oh my God, folks. Now, this is a long way off. Okay, I don't know if this is going to happen. But you have to understand that this would be an exceptionally heavy snowstorm for Richmond if it were to happen. Now, what the GFS does, the GFS builds a long duration event, an event that begins on the 28th and continues into the 30th or 31st. That is a long duration event with high snow ratios. This is an extreme scenario. It's probably not going to happen like this, but there is a lot of precipitation with this system, and it's really cold. Now, this is the new European. Okay, brand just came out here early on this Saturday morning. This is the 0Z European. Okay, 0Z Saturday. There's the low right there on the 29th into the 30th, pounding central and eastern Virginia and north central North Carolina and the Delmarva with a significant snowstorm. Then this is the second system. The European has one on the 31st into the 1st. And this one stays much further to the south as well. Why? Because of that upper air pattern we talked about. And there you got to look at Virginia gets crushed in the second storm as well. Let's look at these snow numbers here. This is the first storm, the 28th into the 29th. Yeah, that's 8 inches in Richmond. That's 14 in Williamsburg, 10 inches in Emporia. This is a big snowstorm for everybody in Virginia and north central North Carolina. Again, I have no idea if these numbers are going to be right, but that's just what it does, the first system. Here's the second system. Wow. That's a large area of 10 to 18 inches of snow. Again, these numbers just seem amazing. This is 10 days out. I'm sure it's wrong, but the point here is a amount of liquid and the cold ratio is going to be really high. Now, the other point here is this is the European ensemble. Notice the European ensemble does not have huge snow amounts here. It's got some snow, which is nice. It does not have huge snow amounts. So there's some support for this, but the operational European again is going extreme with the snow amounts, and I just don't know if that's going to be correct or not. So we have to keep that in mind. My point here is not to get everybody freaked out over the huge snow amounts, but the issue is the high snow ratio and the cold air. And look at the cold air that comes in behind this one on the 31st. This is one of the reasons why the European's going ballistic with the snow, the operational one, because of the cold air that comes in behind it. So again, the issue here is for the 28th and the 30th, is there one event or two? And the snow ratios are going to be very high, not 10 to 1, but probably 15 to 1. And there's potentially a lot of liquid here, maybe 1 to 2 inches of liquid in the mid-Atlantic for this system. So that's all equal to potential for a significant snowstorm, maybe a major snowstorm, possibly even a historic snowstorm. We just have to wait and see. This is meteorologist DT. I'll see you on the Facebook page and Twitter account.